three-step process to getting ebooks onto your computer and then onto your e-reader. First being downloading and registering Adobe Digital Editions. That is a free piece of software that you use to organize ebook collections, or view ebooks on your computer, and transfer them to e-readers. Think of it as iTunes for books. It's almost essentially that. The second step is to download an ebook from the library's catalog. You'll put it into Adobe Digital Editions, and then lastly you transfer it to your e-reader. So it is a fairly basic process. If by some chance you have someone with an iPad or an iPhone or an Android smartphone, there is a different process. It's a two-step process. Download and register the Overdrive Media Console mobile app, which they can find at either the Apple App Store or the Android Market. Again, that's a free download. And again, it's very similar to iTunes for ebooks, except this time it circumvents the computer. You can download ebooks directly to your device. You can manage your collection directly on the device. You don't need a computer as an intermediary between the library catalog and the device that you're going to read it on. There are two formats of ebooks in Overdrive. One is a PDF ebook, the other is an EPUB ebook. The difference between those two is very small. The very first thing you're going to have to do to get an ebook is to download the software, Adobe Digital Editions. And you can find that software at the very bottom of any page in the Overdrive catalog in this left-hand purple column here. Under Software Downloads, if you click Adobe Digital Editions here, it'll take you to Adobe's webpage. You click this button, it'll take you to the webpage where you can download it. It's going a little slow, so I'll let it load. It's pretty easy to download. It's a very small file. Once it is downloaded, you download it right here. It'll put an icon like this at the bottom of the screen here. I'm circling it with the cursor. It looks kind of like a book open up on a tabletop, brown and white icon. The first time you launch Adobe Digital Editions, it's going to ask you to register it with Adobe. And what you have to do is create a username and password. If you've ever made a Facebook account for yourself or set up an email account for someone, you can do this too. It's pretty easy. Here's what it looks like. You put your email address in, put in your password, answer a few basic questions, and then just hit continue and you've created an account. You have to do this first before you can get into downloading ebooks. If you have an e-reader that you registered with Barnes & Noble or Sony, it's a good idea to use the same email address to register Adobe Digital Editions. If you don't, it can cause some problems. So I'm going to head back to overdrive.libraryweb.org. I do want to point out really quickly, right here, I'm circling with the cursor, it'll indicate whether it's an ebook or an audiobook. Ebooks have this little Adobe Digital Editions icon, the white pages on a brown tabletop. And then it'll tell you if it's an EPUB ebook or a PDF ebook. It'll also tell you if the book is checked in or checked out, and you can tell. Books that are currently available for checkout say Add to Digital Cart, like this one down here. The Birth House is checked out right now, so it says Join Waiting List. And I can click either the link Add to Digital Cart in the search results page or the one on the item details page. So now I've got two books I'm going to check out. I'm going to proceed to check out. So there we go, got my library card. All right, from this page you can tell Overdrive whether you want to check it out for 7, 14, or 21 days. This is the last step in the process. If you've already downloaded and registered Adobe Digital Editions, you can just click this download button and it will open up the ebook right into Adobe Digital Editions. So here we go. Open it in Adobe Digital Editions. Give it just a minute to download it. There we go, downloading document. Many of these ebooks are pretty small, so they'll download quickly even if you have a slower broadband connection. All right. Because this is the first time I'm using my Nook, with this copy of Adobe Digital Editions, it's asking me to authorize my Nook. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just saying, yes, I want to use this Nook with this computer. And so I'll tell it authorize device. Again, it connects to Adobe and confirms that. Now I'm finished. You can only use one Nook with one computer at a time. If you have a Nook that you share with, or two people are sharing, they're going to have to use the same copy of Adobe Digital Editions to get books to and from it. They can't have two different copies registered to two people. And that has to do with the email address on Adobe Digital Editions matching the one that's on the Nook. You'll notice in this bottom left-hand corner there's a tiny icon that says Nook Now. That represents my Nook. If you click on it, you can see books that I have on it. I don't have any books on my Nook right now. So I'm going to go back to my library on my computer. To get a book onto the Nook, you just click and drag and put it onto the Nook, just like that. And it's already copied. We'll see, okay, I've got James Patterson on my Nook now. So I can just safely eject the Nook from the computer, and it's ready to go. Yes?
Thank you.